Okay, now I'm prepping the gun for my muzzleloader hunt that allows scopes. I'm going to be shooting a Vortex HD LH, that stands for Light Hunter, 1.5 to 8x by 32 millimeter scope. Sweet scope. It's built for center fires, muzzleloaders, everything. And I think that power range is just right for hunting out to 300 yards. And I don't want to carry a big heavy scope. I'm not going to be shooting long range. That's going to be saving me ounces in the field, and it fits the gun nicely. Okay, muzzleloader bullets are expensive, so always bore sight your rifle. Since you develop your load with your scope, you'll start with your scope. Just take your breech plug out, sight it on the target down there at either 25 or 50 yards, your choice, and look through your scope and then dial your scope in to where they line up. You'll notice on the scope it's opposite of when you're trying to move the bullet. So just watch it, you'll see which way the crosshairs are moving. That'll save you some frustration and money right there. So I bore sighted it at 50 yards. My barrel fouler was 5 inches low. I raised my point of impact, shot another round dead on. So in 2 shots, I'm on paper. I moved it to 100 yards and dead on. Got lucky. Usually your bore sighting isn't quite that accurate. So now I'm just going to go through my hash marks. According to Vortex's LRBC calculator online, I've got an idea of where my hash marks are going to line up. Now the G4 reticle that I'm using is not yet listed on the LRBC, so I just used a generic reticle and to get an estimation. So I don't know if it's going to be exact, but that's how I set my targets up. I bore sighted it already a little bit ago, and it's ready to go. Now I'm shooting at 150, 200, 250, 300. Verify these hash marks in the scope and see how they compare to the LRBC. Okay boys, I've got my 100, 150, 200, 250 hash marks sighted in. Only took about 1 shot per yardage to verify it. I've got my 300 yards out there right now. I'm estimating that's where my bottom post is going to line up, so let's see what happens. Okay, it took about an hour to verify my hash marks. I set my targets up, as I said, in 50-yard increments to 300, and now I've got a hash mark, an aim point at 100. That's my main crosshair. Then my next aim point is 150. Next aim point is 200, then 250, and then 300. And I just shot a 2-shot group at 300, and it looks pretty sweet out there. So while the LRBC didn't get me exact like it did with some of my center fires, it got me close enough. I didn't have to shoot a bunch of rounds to bring it in. And now I've got a muzzleloader that'll shoot 300 yards. Plenty energy to kill a mule deer with this 45 caliber. Of course a 50 would do just fine as well. And that gun's ready to go. Let's go take a look at this group. Okay, because my load's already developed, I'm not trying to shoot groups at these closer yardages. So this was my 100-yard first shot with my main aim point. I moved it over to the left just a little bit and then moved out to 150. Let's go take a look at that one. Okay, I'm a miser. I reuse my target, so ignore all this tape. That's previous sessions, other groups. This is my 150. I had moved the scope to the left. I went just a little bit too far, but my height was just fine. The LRBC predicted that hash mark would put me dead on at 150. Well, it got me within 1.25 inches, it looks like, so close enough. Let's go take a look at 200. Okay, this is at 200 yards. Got to explain this one. Still getting used to the scope, and I used the wrong hash mark. When I use the correct hash mark, put it right in the boiler room. That's my 270 Winchester short mag. I'm shooting it between shots. So looking good at 200. Let's go look at 250. Okay, this is my 250 yard and 300 yard target. I just moved my bench to compensate for the 50 yards. There's my 250 right there. That's my 4th hash mark in that scope. just about dead on. I might be an inch and a half low, so we're going to call that the 250. I moved out to 300 yards. That put me at my last hash mark, which is the top of the post. And I went ahead and fired 2 shots right there. I had adjusted my windage just a click because I was getting over this way, so I brought it over. It looks like it might need one more click, but you can see I've got about a 3.5 inch group at 300 yards. So that muzzleloader's, I don't have the table in front of me, well over 1,000 foot-pounds of energy at this yardage, well over that. So that'll kill a deer, no problem, out to 300 yards. That was my goal, to build a muzzleloader scoped for these states that allow full power scopes, like Arizona, New Mexico, now Utah. A whole bunch of the Midwest allows it. No problem getting to 300 yards with that Vortex 1.5 to 8 by 32.